Prince Alioune lived in a grand palace. It shimmered like gold under the hot sun. He had everything a young prince could want. But Alioune longed for adventure. He wanted to prove himself brave and strong. One day the news came. The Enchanted Forest of Djilor was in danger. The forest was magical. It protected the kingdom from harm. But now, the forest was quiet. The animals were gone. The magic was fading. Alioune knew he had to act. He was the youngest prince. Nobody expected him to be brave. But Alioune felt a fire in his heart. He would save the forest. He would make his people proud. That night, Alioune packed a bag. He took his sword, his bow, and a map of the forest. As the moon rose, he slipped out of the palace. Alioune was ready to face the unknown. The air hung heavy as Alioune entered the forest. Giant trees reached for the sky, their branches intertwined like tangled hair. The forest floor was a carpet of leaves, damp and silent. A shiver ran down Alioune's spine. He was alone. As he ventured deeper, the silence pressed in. The only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the distant cries of unseen birds. Alioune drew his sword, his hand gripping the hilt tightly. He felt small and insignificant in the vastness of the forest. Then he heard it, a whisper carried on the breeze. It seemed to come from the trees themselves, speaking his name. Alioune stopped, holding his breath. He strained to hear, his heart pounding in his chest. "Alioune," the voice whispered again, faint and ethereal. Fear battled with curiosity in Alioune's mind. He had to know who or what was calling him deeper into the enchanted woods. He took a deep breath and pressed on. A flash of movement caught Alioune's eye. A small brown rabbit hopped into view. It twitched its nose and looked at Alioune with intelligent eyes. To his surprise, it spoke. "Lost, little prince?" the rabbit asked, its voice surprisingly deep. Alioune blinked, unsure if he had imagined it. Before he could answer, a bluebird landed on a branch above him. "Follow us," it chirped, cocking its head. "We know the way." Hesitantly, Alioune followed the unlikely pair. As they walked, more animals appeared. Deer with eyes like pools of melted chocolate, monkeys chattering from the trees, even a sleek black panther, its muscles rippling as it moved. Alioune learned that the forest was sick, its magic fading. The animals were counting on him to help. Alioune's fear melted away, replaced by a sense of purpose. The animals led Alioune to a clearing. In the center stood 5 towering stones, each etched with strange symbols. The air vibrated with a faint hum. "The singing stones," the bluebird explained, perching on Alioune's shoulder. "They hold the key to restoring the forest's magic." The rabbit pointed a paw. "But they haven't sung for years. Only the rightful heir to the throne can awaken them." Alioune circled the stones, studying the symbols. They seemed familiar, like something from his childhood dreams. As he touched one, a jolt of energy shot through him. The stone hummed louder. He remembered now. His grandmother used to tell him stories of these stones. Each one represented an element: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. They had to be touched in a specific order to awaken their magic. Carefully, remembering his grandmother's tales, Alioune touched the stones. Earth, then air, followed by fire, water, and finally, spirit. As he touched the last stone, the clearing filled with a blinding light. The stones erupted in a chorus of beautiful sound. Alioune had solved the puzzle. The river of liquid moonlight. The light faded. Before Alioune stood a sight that took his breath away. A river flowed through the clearing, its water shimmering like liquid moonlight. It pulsed with an otherworldly glow. "The river of life," breathed the panther, its voice a low rumble. "It flows through the heart of the forest, carrying its magic." The animals explained that the river had run dry, choked by the darkness that had fallen over the forest. But Alioune had restored its flow. Hope bloomed in Alioune's chest. He was making a difference. He knelt by the riverbank, cupping his hands to drink. The water tasted cool and sweet, filling him with a sense of peace. He knew this was only the beginning of his quest. When shadows dance. That night, as Alioune slept beneath the stars, a wave of cold washed over him. He woke with a start. The forest around him was alive with shadows, twisting and writhing like living creatures. The air crackled with malevolent energy. Red eyes glowed from the darkness. A chorus of growls and hisses filled the night. The dark spirits of the forest had come. Alioune drew his sword, his heart pounding against his ribs. Fear threatened to overwhelm him, but he stood his ground. He wouldn't let fear paralyze him. The shadows lunged. Alioune fought back with every ounce of strength he possessed. His sword flashed in the moonlight, each strike fueled by his determination to protect the forest he had come to love. Wisdom in the wilderness. The battle raged. Just as Alioune began to tire, a voice boomed through the clearing, powerful and commanding. The shadows retreated, melting back into the darkness. Standing before him was an old man. His skin was like weathered bark, his eyes like embers in the dying firelight. He leaned heavily on a staff, wisdom etched into his every wrinkle. "Who are you?" Alioune asked, his voice hoarse. "I am the guardian of this forest," the old man replied, his voice deep and resonant. "I have been watching you, young prince." Alioune lowered his sword, his body aching with fatigue. He had so many questions. Why was the forest sick? Who had unleashed the dark spirits? The old man smiled, a knowing glint in his eyes. "The forest is a reflection of all that lives within it," he said, his voice filled with ancient wisdom. "Darkness breeds darkness. Only courage and compassion can restore its balance." The heart of a true leader. Alioune sat with the old man as the first rays of dawn pierced through the canopy. He listened intently, his heart heavy with the weight of the old man's words. "True leadership," the old man said, "comes not from strength of arms, but from strength of spirit. It lies in your ability to listen to the whispers of your heart, to show compassion even in the face of fear." Alioune thought of the animals, their trust in him. He thought of the dark spirits, born of the shadows within the forest. Was there a darkness within him too? He realized that true strength lay not in denying his fear, but in confronting it with courage and compassion. He looked at the old man, his eyes filled with newfound determination. "I understand," he said. "I am ready to face whatever lies ahead." He knew that his journey was far from over. Facing the unknown, the old man led Alioune to a cave hidden behind a curtain of cascading water. It was dark and damp, the air thick with anticipation. "This is the source," the old man said, his voice echoing in the cavern, "the heart of the darkness that plagues the forest." He pointed to a pool of water at the center of the cave. It bubbled ominously, its surface reflecting a swirling vortex of shadows. "You must face the darkness," the old man instructed. "Only then can you truly heal the forest." Alioune's heart pounded in his chest. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. He knew this was his final test. As he gazed into the pool, he saw his reflection staring back at him. But it wasn't just his reflection. He saw the faces of his people, their hopes and fears, their dreams and anxieties. He saw the beauty of his kingdom, its vast plains and shimmering rivers. He saw the potential for both darkness and light that resided within him, within all living things. And in that moment, he understood. The darkness wasn't something to be feared, but something to be understood and embraced. It was a part of him, a part of everyone and everything. He reached out and touched the surface of the pool. A surge of energy pulsed through him, not of fear, but of understanding and acceptance. The shadows within the pool writhed and twisted, then gradually subsided, replaced by a gentle light that emanated from within. Homeward bound, Alioune emerged from the cave, blinking in the bright sunlight. The forest was alive with the sounds of birdsong and the rustling of leaves. The air felt lighter, cleaner. He looked around for the old man, but he was gone. Only his staff remained, leaning against a tree. Alioune knew in his heart that the forest was healed. He had faced his fears, embraced the darkness within him, and emerged stronger, wiser. With a final glance at the rejuvenated forest, he turned and began the long journey home. He carried with him the lessons he had learned, the wisdom he had gained. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he was no longer afraid. He was ready to lead his people with courage, compassion, and a heart filled with the magic of the enchanted forest.